Episode 133 of Australia's #1 marketing show. This time, I have a fireside, make that trackside chat with David Malone, the CEO of V8 Supercars. Plus, I take you behind the scenes of something unusual I did this week.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day everyone, and welcome back to episode 133 of Australia's #1 ranking small business marketing show. I am your host, Timbo Reid. You, much more importantly, are a very motivated small business owner, and we are brought to you by the very good folk at Net Registry, who get your marketing sorted online. Anything you want. Domain names, hosting, website development and design. There is a difference. Facebook advertising, SEO, Google AdWords, you name it. They are there at your beck and call, and they are friends of the Small Business Marketing Show. I suggest you give them a tingle. Go to netregistry.com.au or hit it up on the smallbusinessbigmarketing.com site, where you'll see a Net Registry banner and exclusive listener packages. Hey, welcome everyone from the Flying Solo community as well, you flying soloists, you. Now, big show, always a big show, but lots to cover. Our guest today is the CEO of the V8 Supercars. And if you didn't think that was a small business, think again, it is. And I speak to David Malone, who is the CEO, and he is a good guy. I'll tell you more about him and what to expect in a minute. I'm very excited because I feel as though I've broken through sort of one of those goals that I set, achieved one of those goals I set about 12 months ago. Tomorrow, I'm speaking at the Langham Hotel in front of about 100 or so people about small business marketing, funny enough. And then I hop on a plane to Vietnam. It's my first overseas speaking gig, and I am very, very proud of that fact. It's a little goal I set. I wanted to be an international speaker as of Wednesday, which is when I'm speaking at the Park Hyatt in Vietnam. I am an international speaker, so happy days for that. It's the first of many and really looking forward to that. I am hoping to record my presentation. Can't promise anything, but may be able to put it in the forum at some point, the Small Business Big Marketing Forum at some point. No promises. Now, one thing I do want to do while I'm over there is report back, or at least create some little grabs for future episodes. So definitely we'll be doing that. I've put it out on Twitter, I put it out on Twitter that I'm going to be in Ho Chi Minh City, and bang, back they came. Really excited about a number of people hitting me up and saying, hey, let's catch up while you're over there. So the power of, I talk about my love-hate relationship with social media. Social media has come to my rescue, not only in meeting some listeners, some like-minded individuals while I'm over in Ho Chi Minh, which I'm going to add on a few extra days while I am there. And that's one thing I'm going to do. And I'm also thinking of using Vine. I don't know whether anyone else is using Vine, sort of relatively new social media. Check it out. What it allows you to do is create 6-second videos, but it's kind of cool how it does it. All you have to do is touch on and off the screen, and you can record 2 seconds and then pause, and then another 2 seconds, pause. And sounds quite like it's quite challenging, I guess, like Twitter, 140 characters. Well, this is video in 6 seconds. It's Vine. So I'm probably going to post a few little Vine videos through Twitter while I'm away, and may add that to my social media strategy going forward. Not sure, but would be interested to know if any of you are using it, because I quite like what I'm seeing on there. Speaking of speaking, it is a major part of my business. I do a lot of public speaking around small business big marketing, or around small business marketing, really. One of the things I did this week was quite unusual, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same, even though you may not have a formal need to do it. But it's great. It's a great thing to do. Let me explain. I've signed up with a speakers bureau, an Australian speakers bureau, who booked me for speaking gigs. And one of the things I had to do was go into their head office in Melbourne this week and sit in front of their Melbourne-based agents, and then had a camera in front of me. So I was sitting around a boardroom table, Melbourne-based agents sitting around that table. I had a camera in front of me and was beamed to every other state in Australia and New Zealand where the other agents were sitting and watching me. And I had to talk about myself for 45 minutes, ended up going for an hour, had to talk about myself, which is actually, you go, oh, yeah, Timbo, mate, you would nail that. You love talking about yourself. Well, yes, but also it's actually quite challenging, because there is a sort of, you become self-conscious around the fact that, my God, I'm talking about myself. So what I've done, what I went and did was, about a week prior, I put myself in the shoes of the agent and I said, what questions would they want to know about me in order to sell me to their clients? So that in itself was really interesting, and it forced a very particular structure on me that I stuck to. The second thing I did was 24 hours out, and I did it specifically just 24 hours out, I emailed all the agents that were going to be in the audience and said, what marketing questions do you have that you'd like answered? So therefore, I could start my presentation with answering their marketing questions. So I did that, and that was really useful. That was a really nice way to slide in to starting to talk about myself, because I could show myself in action. What I've done, guys, is I have put the structure, all the questions that I answered and the answers to that in a post in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. It was a little behind the scenes look at how I went about structuring that. And I didn't know whether it was going to be accepted, or was it going to be like Timbo blowing his own horn or whatever it is. But the forum members have really appreciated it. And what I've realised is that whenever we go behind the scenes of something, round behind the curtain, we love it. It's a great strategy for all of us to take our clients on a behind-the-scenes tour. So, in fact, I did that at the Opera House at Sydney last week, a behind-the-scenes tour. Who doesn't love that? There's that curiosity factor. So I've posted that in the forum, and it was just a really interesting exercise. What I suggest you do is pitch yourself. Imagine you had to sit in front of a group of people, 10, 20 people, who then had to go and sell you, right? And go and do that presentation. No one ever needs to see it, but do that presentation to yourself. Even go ahead and record it. It's just a really good marketing exercise. And hey, we get asked every day, what do we do? We're always pitching. So a great little thing to do. If you want the template, go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Click on the forum button on the right-hand side, or on the products page of smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. It's $49 a month, and happy days. There's some great discussion going on in the forum. Let me just pull up some other topics that are being tossed around as we speak. I've just put something in the classroom on how to create a little video I've created on how to create an ebook. Let me go to the water cooler section of the forum. We've got people asking feedback on websites. We have got one guy who's got a cufflinks business who said, what should I put in my customer shipments to inspire repeat business? Got some great answers from members for that. What else have we got? Lots of good stuff. Lots of people asking for advice and giving advice. And lots of people encouraging other motivated business owners like yourself. So go and check it out. Alrighty, my guest today, David Malone. Now, as you might have heard on a previous episode, I was a guest of Microsoft down at Launceston about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They took me down, flew me down. We went to the V8 Supercars, hung out with the petrol heads, and I just went overnight because I was going to Sydney the following day. So I just went overnight, spent a day with Microsoft, checked out Office 365, which is a very cool new software. It's kind of Office in the cloud, if you like, accessible from anywhere. And they are sponsoring. They're a major sponsor of the V8 Supercars, which works really nicely. It's a sponsorship made in heaven, because the V8 Supercar teams are using Office 365 to communicate amongst the entire team and share data and files and all that stuff, all that techo stuff. But that's really interesting in itself. I had the opportunity to then meet the CEO of V8s, David Malone. Now, David is just a good guy. What I want to say is that, I meet a lot of CEOs. I met a lot of CEOs in my time. I call myself the CEO of my company, but that stands for Chief Everything Officer. Boom, boom. But sometimes I meet people, and when I ever meet a CEO, I think, how did you get to this position? And when I met David, it was quite obvious. He's a people's person. He's been at the high end of town, the top end of town for a long time in his career. And he's just a good guy at harnessing the power of team. So that's one thing you're going to learn about in this interview. He's built and rebranded, or not rebranded, but refreshed the V8 Supercar brand recently and done a magnificent job. He tells us about how he's done that. One thing he's really good at, and I asked him, I said, how well do you know your best mates? That group of people who have the highest propensity to buy from you. And he said, Timbo, he didn't say Timbo, he said Tim. I know them very well. He said, in order for you to get to know them, why don't you walk out onto the hill and have a chat to them? Which the hill being that kind of major part of the track where all the boys hang out, drinking the Jim Beam. And so I did that and got to know his clients. That's what he does. He uses social media, or the brand uses social media very well. It's just a really, really in-depth interview about running. You think V8 Supercars, massive business. Hey, it employs 60 people around the world. It's a small business. It's kind of like a big, small business, if that makes sense. He explains that a bit more in this interview. It's a great interview about marketing events. It's just a great interview about a small business doing really big marketing. And I even got out onto the hill and spoke to the Jim Beam girls. I put a photo of me speaking to the Jim Beam girls in the show notes of this. I was quite chuffed with the Beam girls, I must say, and had a bit of a giggle. So I'll drop that interview halfway through, that chat with the girls halfway through this interview. And on the other side, I'll share my marketing learnings. That is enough. Here is David Malone, CEO of V8 Supercars. Thanks for doing this. It's good out there.
Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it? You've been to an event?
Well, I've only ever been to Grand Prix, so it's my only opportunity of seeing V8 Supercars.
This is a great example of a really well-run, smaller local event. I mean, we'll get 50, 60,000 people there over the 3 days, as opposed to Eclipse where we had almost 300,000 people.
Wow.
95,000 on the Sunday. So this is you're getting to see sort of the full range when you come to one of these.
Event.
Yeah. And Bathurst last year we had 207,000 people over the 4 days. That was the biggest. That was actually the.
So what are the numbers you're going to get here over the days?
We think probably around. We had 53 last year, 53,000.
Yep.
We had about 15,000 or 16,000 yesterday.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Well, we just us turning up is like just the V8 team and the crew and the teams it's almost 1,000 people.
Wow!
So it sort of adds up.
It's big business. Yeah. And just hearing. I'll record now. Just watch your hands on the table because I know this thing's quite sensitive. Even just the numbers alone. I mean, that's those 60 people. I think you said just rolling up to put the event on.
Well, 70. We've got 70 staff, and there's not 70 here. There's 70 in the business. Yeah. But that's spread across our Sydney office and our Gold Coast office. But people are moving. There's people moving around all the time. It's just the nature of the business. We obviously use a lot of contractors. So putting an event like this on, I think there's probably about in our team over this weekend. There's probably about 35 of us here. Probably half the team. But then we're using contractors. We have a big because it's a motorsport event, a big volunteer group as well that work with CAMS, which is the sports authority.
Now, I've just been wandering around the hill, David, and
I've good feedback.
Great feedback. I had a wonderful chat with the Jim Beam girls, and one thing I noticed is your fans are clearly fanatical. They really are. I mean, I got talking to one guy. I mean, he was ecstatic having his photo taken with the Jim Beam girls. He's got a Holden flag on. He's got some kind of Sahara-looking desert paraphernalia. I mean, they really are into their motorsport. I interviewed the executive producer of the Hamish and Andy show a few weeks ago, and we talked about turning listeners into raving fans. And I think you've done that as well. What do you know about your fans?
Well, I think there is V8 Supercars itself has been around for 17 years. Before that, it was Australian touring cars, which is what we grew out of. And in that 17 years, we had the two manufacturers, which was Holden and Ford, and the tribal nature of the engagement and support that grew around that it's just been extraordinary. Now, this year is our first foray into new manufacturers. So Nissan joined the competition, as well as Mercedes-AMG, which was a very sensible next step for us. I mean, we have wonderful connection with those current manufacturers in Holden and Ford, and great support and a massive fan base.
Did the fans snub their nose at Nissan and Mercedes-Benz kind of impinging on the turf?
Well, it's a really interesting question, actually, because it's something we thought through at the time, but we decided as a category it was where we needed to be going. It was strategically important for us to expand the manufacturer group in the business or in the sport. But in this day and age, you get immediate feedback. So we launched Nissan launched their involvement back in February last year. So on our Facebook, through Twitter, we had immediate feedback.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it was surprising. It was very, very positive.
Really?
Yeah, very, very positive. Clearly there is that welded-on support for Holden and Ford. Yeah. There's also in Australia today, there's a very broad base of cars sold, and
but we're not very forgiving, us Aussies. I mean, you're either from what I understand of motorsport, you are Ford or Holden.
Yeah, but if you look back at the history of touring cars, I mean, Nissan was involved in touring cars in '92. I mean, a number of manufacturers were involved historically through touring cars. So it's not a completely odd concept. But what was interesting is how the fans have engaged. And I think for us as a sport, it's brought in new fans that were involved with the sport before, and our current Holden and Ford fans are as passionate as ever, and they want to make sure that they see their teams continue to win.
From a marketing perspective, David, do you have a name for your fans? Is there a kind of name you put to the tribe, and how would you describe them? Because I mean, I'm sure as a business, you you emotionally understand them more than kind of just at a rational level of age.
And I think you've got to be really careful around that, because if you walked around our event today and you look at the range of people, and it's interesting when someone comes to an event for the first time, I think they're surprised. There are families, there are blokes that you'd expect to be there. It's quite a diverse group, and even at an event like this, if you compare that to somewhere like Clipsal, which is our opening event of the year, where we had 286,000 people there, which was city street circuit. Again, the crowd is, it's a very diverse group that go there. Our television audiences, again, it's a very, very broad audience.
So how do you pitch the V8 Supercar brand? You've gone from family to hardcore bloke.
Well, we want to make sure that there's authenticity in our racing, and that's our key proposition. So to make sure that our motorsport component, which is top shelf, and V8 Supercars are the leading motorsport category in the country, and that's like a lot of people have put a lot of hard work into that over many years to make sure that the competition on the circuit is top shelf, and that'll attract the true motorsport fan, and that's why we have that large base already there. Then the next layer on top of that is then you go to an event like this in Tasmania, and we have like yesterday we had a program which we have at all of our events, which is a Schools on Track program, where we allow school children to come along free of charge, and we give them tours. The drivers talk about road safety, so they get to experience the event, and that's like a new group coming in. Over the weekend, we'll have everything here. There'll be families. There'll be quite a range of people come through the gate. But then you look at something like Townsville, which is a street circuit, or Clipsal, which is a street circuit. Those events again are even broader, because you've got a concert on Saturday night, so there's something for everybody in the family. So we try not to. We clearly want to have a product which is the very best you can be in motorsport, but we want to make sure our events offer entertainment for the broader family, and I think we're succeeding in that space.
I noticed Aussie Rules Footy now have got a dedicated family area at the MCG, where it's like that's where the kids and the mums and dads go. No swearing. I think it might even be alcohol free, and there's it's segregation, I guess, in a sense. I noticed you've done that. You've got a great joint venture with Disney.
Yeah, the Disney Pixar has been a wonderful project. We've had that in place for a few years now. It's a great family space, and again, you look at the people that come to this event. There are a lot of families here, so we're trying to make sure that we cater for this is motor racing, but also it's an entertaining event.
There'll be a special moment when dad and son, there'll be a year when each dad and son comes along and dad goes, son, I think it's time we can go to the Jim Beam backyard now. No more Disney cars,
That's a good point.
Yeah, point. But they're fanatical. How do you get feedback? I mean, clearly walking around the track, you can get that feedback. Do you as the CEO do that?
I do that at every event. I make sure that I walk around, whether it be a street circuit, whether it be a permanent circuit like this. I make sure I walk around through every area, not just the hill, but also the corporate areas, to make sure that you're getting feedback from the cross section.
What kind of questions do you ask?
I just say, how are you enjoying the experience? How are you finding the event? What things do you think we're doing well? What sort of things do you think we could improve? And it's amazing what sort of feedback you get.
Interesting. At what point then? I mean, because you get a lot of feedback, you can't action all that feedback. Is there a tipping point where you go, 5 people have complained about such and such, I'll do something about it? Like, where is that point of action?
We have a weekly leadership meeting, and we all get various points of feedback because we're all, at events and we're all interacting with the fan base. That's the great thing about this sport. We're actually at every event, and the management team are there sort of, working or, being able to interact with the fan base. So we gather that feedback. You'll hear someone will give you a good idea. Why don't you think about this? I mean, there's 2 ladies in particular who they go to 4 or 5 events a year. They're just fans. And they always, whenever they see me in the paddock, they grab me. Sometimes I'll write a note and they'll say, look, we were at Bathurst, we've got some ideas. We've been there for the last 10 years, we've got some ideas. And they provide us with a written note saying, here's some ideas. And we look at that and go, there's some things we can implement there. And I think the nature of our sport being this event-based and being able to mix with the fans, I think, is a wonderful way to get feedback. We obviously do the normal sort of research that you would do. The other important thing for us now is social media, getting that immediate feedback.
Tell me about that, because that every brand in the world is either, they're struggling with it or they've embraced it. Or so, do you use social media? And when we talk about social media, what are we talking? Facebook, Twitter?
Yeah. We also have an app, a timing app, which allows fans to get real-time data when the events are on in terms of timing. For us, it's like every brand at the moment, it's a bit like us walking around here talking to our fans in an event. If you can continue that dialogue when they go home through the week, we use it to provide information on what's happening in the sport, but we also do a lot of listening. We look at what feedback we're getting, so we put information out there, and I guess like any passionate fan base, and with the ease of communication through something like Facebook or Twitter, you get that immediate response. So we take that very seriously. We comb through it. We have a team of people who look at that.
You do dedicated people who are there.
Part of our social media group, we've got a digital team now, a social media group, where our marketing department also work with that data. And really, you find wonderful, gems in there.
Absolutely, you do.
And it's, but the interesting thing is, I find, is that the fans want to give you. They want to help. They want to give you advice. They want to tell you what you're not doing well. There's sometimes when there'll just be things that are, things that just spiral into a bit of a moment. But then a lot of times, if you go through the information that you're getting there, there's some really useful information. So we look at it all. We take it seriously, and I look at what some of the teams are doing. I was speaking to one of the teams this morning. One of the team owners. Just runs competitions through using Facebook, and they've got some of their fans here over the weekend just by winning through those sorts of competitions. So again, I just think it gives us a level of connection.
Who has the permission within the V8 Supercars business to talk on the brand's behalf? Because I know a lot of businesses freak out about that. Like, is it just one person within the organisation?
We have a digital group, and they manage that communication. It's very carefully managed, like any business has to be, because you just don't want anything being put up. I mean, it represents the brand, it represents the company. So what we're putting up there has to be thought through. I mean, you've obviously got a situation where a lot of the drivers are tweeting as well, which is a different dynamic to what I've just been talking about. But that's a different connection that they have with their fans. That's obviously more of a one-to-one conversation between a driver and their fan base. But as a business, we're obviously quite conscious of what we put up there.
Can I just talk about the branding?
Hey team, I've just wandered out for 1 second. As I said, I went and had a chat to the Jim Beam girls out on the hill by the trackside, and it was a bit of fun. So let's go and have a sneak listen to what they had to say. I'm Tim. Who am I speaking to?
Amy.
Hi, Amy. So what's it like being a Jim Beam girl?
It's fun. They love it. I used to be a Jim Beam girl. Now I just run the team. But the girls love it. It's fun, and they get to interact with lots of people.
Right.
And
Some crazy stories. Who's got a crazy story to tell?
Sure, you would have a lot,
Come on.
Amy.
Really? Anything? Just another day at the office, is it?
There's probably too many stories to tell. We come across some very interesting people, and we've got a lot of crazy people that we meet.
Now, Amy, what do you mean by interesting people?
Interesting people. I mean, some people that are there's people that absolutely love the girls. Like, they just love the girls, and sometimes they get a little bit too full on with the girls. And
Are we talking fatal attraction kind of love?
yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Okay, so you got nothing. You got to reveal something. There must be some kind of. Let's use the word weirdo. There, right? We've said it. There's weirdos, aren't there?
Interesting weirdo. Yeah. We actually came across some interesting people since we've been in Tasmania. Actually, there was.
Hello to all you Tasmanians.
Yeah, there's some people that actually reveal some interesting stories to us about their lives, which we're kind of not used to. But
Right.
but I really can't think of one.
That's okay.
story
What does Jim demand of you as a Jim Beam girl? What have you got to? What's the expectation?
Well, basically, the Jim Beam girls are obviously a very big part of the Jim Beam brand. So obviously, they want us to reflect what they want their brand to be. So fun, outgoing, the life of the party. We're the Jim Beam party crew. We've got to be the life of the party and the party starters, basically.
Right. Okay. How would I go as a Jim Beam girl?
I reckon you'd go all right.
I do too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd look good in those little red shorts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Hey, now, girls, this show is called Small Business Big Marketing. So, in one go, just a big hello to Small Business Big Marketing. No. Hello to everyone at Small Business Big Marketing. You ready?
Hello, everyone at Small Business Big Marketing.
Love it. You got that so wrong. Yeah, like small business, like tiny business, big marketing.
All right, take two.
Okay, 3, 2. You need it to.
Hello, everyone at Small Business Big Marketing.
I love this.
Oh my God.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone at Small Business Big Marketing.
Love your work. See you, girls. Thanks. Bye. Oh, you got to love a bit of silliness. If you want to see a picture of me talking to those Jim Beam girls, go to the show notes for episode 133 at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Enough silliness. Let's get back to the serious business of marketing the V8 Supercars with their CEO and fearless leader, David Malone.
Can I just talk about the branding? You've been 18 months in the job, CEO?
Yep.
How long has the new look V8 Supercar brand been about?
About 7 months now.
Beautiful. You're responsible for it. I love that because as a visual identity, I actually think it's very strong. It seems right on brand. Which you go, well, so it damn well should be. But can you talk about you've clearly understood what people want, the personality that you're trying to create? What was the process?
Yeah, it's a good question. When I came into the business, I came out of a media background and obviously very conscious of the importance of the brand mark. And I actually like the old V8 Supercar logo. I think and we actually haven't changed it a great deal. We've just tweaked it to get it to where it is now.
It's like Coke. If you look at the Coca-Cola logo from 1902 to today, it's just been tweaked over time, but it's been kept contemporary.
Yeah. And I guess when I came into the sport and I got involved, very closely as you do when you immerse yourself as a new CEO, I understood the level of technology that was being, deployed in this business in the garages. I'm sure you'll see later when you go for a wander through. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a high-end, high-technology sport, and I felt that our branding probably wasn't communicating that sort of sophistication, that technology edge that we have now. Mm-hmm. And so what we set our agency a challenge around sort of rethinking that and saying, okay, we want to sort of move towards a more innovation, sophistication type focus. And they took on that challenge, and we looked at some changes to the logo. But the one we liked the best was actually the original logo shape, but refined through the chrome and the carbon fibre and giving it that sort of innovation, sophistication. And I think we've captured it. I think they did a terrific job.
Yeah, absolutely. What, tell me, just to finish up, what frustrates you? Is there any aspect of the marketing of this growing brand, which I understand has gone from 3 events to 15, 18 events in the space of 6 or 7 years?
Oh, well,
it's growing.
Well, that's in terms of events that we promote ourselves. We've always had a calendar around 10 to 12 events, and we've gone up to sort of 15 this year. But the events that V8 Supercars promotes itself in the last 6 years has gone from only three of those events that we promoted to 9 of the events.
Okay.
So the workload around the event promotion and logistics has grown enormously.
What frustrates you about getting the message out? Because you are up against, who do you see as your competitive set?
Well, we're in the motorsport space, but we're in the entertainment space.
Oh, big time.
And that's where I see us competing. I mean, Australia is a very, very competitive, cluttered sports market, and a lot of our competitors are doing a terrific job, and I want to make sure that we're better than them, and presenting ourselves in a way, providing an event that everyone can come to, and there's something there for the family. But importantly, our core product, our motorsport, remains at the high standard it's at the moment. That's the critical part. We don't want to be losing sight of what we're actually here for. But those bigger street circuit events give us a chance to create a festival. And I guess my biggest frustration is I've come into a business that has created a wonderful brand and an outstanding product, and my frustration is how quickly can we now go to the next level. I would love to introduce this sport to a whole new group, because I think it's got so much. It's such an interesting, exciting sport, and I think there's a lot more we can do in terms of taking it forward.
I don't know. Does music play a role at these events?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were just having a meeting about that in here this morning. We've used music over the years at some
Barnsey.
Yeah, well, that's right. At some concerts, we've got Barnsey's been a part of our sport for many years, and we've used music very effectively. I think at the sort of these street circuit festival events, and we'll continue to do so. What we're looking at now is, again, because our audience is so broad, making sure that our music caters for the breadth of audience that we have. So over the Gold Coast 600 weekend, that we have music that matches the various audience groups that are be there, but that's again just an opportunity.
So you'll have maybe Taylor Swift supporting a bit of AC/DC.
There's obviously a broad market that enjoys our content, so it's making sure that we've got whatever we're doing, we're servicing those different markets. And music's one of those things.
Who do you look to in terms of taking it to the next level? As the CEO of V8 Supercars, who do you look to in terms of another event brand globally or locally? Do you think, geez, they're doing it well?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Again, because I came out of a sports broadcast background, I was fortunate enough to sort of, in the last decade, travel internationally and spend time at things like Wimbledon, or go to the US Masters, or go to a NASCAR event, go to a Formula One Grand Prix. So I from my background, have had the opportunity to sort of experience those events that are run at a very high standard. We obviously look at what the world of motorsport. We look at what our competitors are doing, or I guess not really our competitors, but what motorsport categories are doing in other parts of the world, and we draw on those learnings. NASCAR's an extraordinary product in the US, and I think we could learn a lot from them. But at the same time, I think because of the events we put on, looking more broadly makes a lot of sense, and to look at how Roland Garros put on a French Open, or how the USPGA Tour operates, looking at how the English Premier League operate. I think all those world-class sporting events, there's things that we can learn from, and so I've got a sort of pretty broad radar in terms of where we get ideas from.
It's exciting times. I think you've got a brand that's kind of come so far, but you're really ready to open up to an entire new group of people.
Yeah, and I think that's a credit to the people that have gone before me. They've created an absolutely world-class brand and importantly product.
Yep.
We just launched Car of the Future, so all the cars out on the track that you're going to see this weekend are a new racing platform.
Yep.
We've introduced along with Holden and Ford, the new manufacturers, Nissan and Mercedes AMG. We've mixed up the race format, so you're going to see some of that this weekend. I just think we are sitting on a really huge opportunity, and now it's incumbent upon myself and the team to sort of take this to the next level. And I think I've got a sense that there's a really good opportunity there for us.
I must finish by asking just about sponsorship. Obviously, takings at the gate is one thing, but I'm sure that doesn't pay the enormous salaries that are required to run V8 Supercars. How important is sponsorship, and how do you attract it and nurture it?
Okay, well,
and have you got a day to answer that question?
Yeah, I'll try and be concise. But motorsport is obviously very sponsor dependent, not just as a series, as in V8 Supercars, but if you go and walk down the garages and look at all the cars. I mean, they're all, it's all
massive branding
and key sponsor association. So for us as a sport, compared to other sports, it's very, very important. How do we deal with it? Well, we're just very structured and very organised around it. The teams obviously manage their own sponsor relationships. We as in V8 Supercars manage those relationships with the key partners at the moment. Red Bull's just come into the category. They're sponsoring the 2 888 cars, and they've just come in as our energy drink, which we just announced this weekend. So it's a matter of aligning with and trying to identify the future partners who are going to be moving forward with this. I mean, one of the exciting things this weekend is that for the first time we have Microsoft joining us. We're a customer of Microsoft, and out of that relationship, and as that relationship developed, we talked about them becoming involved with this event in Tasmania this weekend, and so for the first time they're the naming rights sponsor of the Tasmanian Microsoft Office 365 event, which that's the sort of, they're the sorts of conversations that we are engaged in continually. What
I like about that Microsoft thing, and we've just come from a media chat with you guys and Microsoft, was that it's just a natural integration. It makes sense. It's not, you're not forcing it on anything. It's you guys use it. It's helped your business grow. It works. I get that.
We're natural partners, and for V8 Supercar sponsors, have been the thing that we do is provide an enormous platform. We have extraordinary TV ratings. We have large attendance across the 15 events. We also provide the opportunity for an activation. So if you look at here this weekend, a lot of these sponsors will be activating. So not only are they branding, but they're actually activating and touching fans, connecting with fans at the event.
Well, the Jim Beam girls were certainly activating.
Yeah, that's right. And I think these events provide a great opportunity for a brand or a product to sort of connect with their fan base and their user base. And that's, I think, what we provide.
David Malone, CEO of V8 Supercars, thanks so much for being on Small Business Big Marketing.
Absolute pleasure. Let's talk again.
Righto, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did putting it together for you. Bit of a laugh along the way as well. Now, one big marketing learning from that time that I spent with David, both during that interview and in the luxury of the corporate box afterwards, it's quite simple. Know your tribe. He is a master at doing that. And I think as small business owners, sometimes we can be guilty of not getting out there at the cold face and just visiting, just asking how our customers, how our prospects are going. It may involve you calling them, might be putting a questionnaire together using SurveyMonkey and emailing it to them. It might be just wandering around your shop and seeing how people buy, just watching your customers in action. I remember Phil McKenney from an episode many moons ago when we talked about an innovation process. It was one of the major things he talked about, which is he was the vice president of innovation at Hewlett Packard, and he was going off to computer stores and just standing in the aisles and watching his customers buy his product and his competitor's product and just tapping them on the shoulder. Bit weird, I know, and just saying, what do you think of the brand? What could we be doing better? Get to know your tribe, guys. It's just a wonderful marketing strategy because it means that you can provide even better product and marketing solutions going forward. Alrighty, nearly to the end of the show. Big thanks to Net Registry for being a part of this show, but also upcoming episodes. Oh my God, OMG. Got Daniel Flynn from Thank You Water, Heather Smith, small business author. I'm going to be reporting back on my time in Ho Chi Minh City, downtown. I've got Naomi Simpson coming in from Red Balloon. I've got Clemmy, Olympian Michael Clem, giving us an update on his wonderful skincare range, Milk. He was in Bali a few weeks ago, meant to do an interview then, couldn't catch up. He is coming back into Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. He's just got his product Milk into Boots chemists all around the UK. He's killing it. So we're going to get an update there. Enough from me. Thanks so much for tuning in. May your marketing be absolutely the best marketing going around. Until next time, Timbo Reid here, signing out. Bye.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.